In the past few years, it seems that the gaming industry has taken a renewed interest in the beat-em-up genre. A reworked Dragon's Crown was out last year, WayForward put their own spin on a River City game with River City Girls, and 2020 promises another installment into the Streets of Rage franchise. I, for one, welcome this resurgence into the world of beat-em-ups. They're simple, fun, and you just punch people, and I love it. Seeing as how I haven't reviewed a beat-em-up game since, River City Ransom on the NES, I feel it's time to talk about one of my other favorite beat-em-ups, Battletoads Double Dragon: The Ultimate Team. With a title developed by Rare in their golden age, you know you're in for a treat. While Battletoads Double Dragon debuted on the NES, I am much more familiar with the Super Nintendo version. My brothers and I would always play this game, always entering down, up, down, A, B, B, A, and then start to get 10 extra lives, which to this day I do not feel guilty about because this game is absolutely brutal. Our story takes place after the Dark Queen was defeated by the Battletoads. Now she's back and is aligned with the Shadow Warriors in an attempt to conquer the world. The Battletoads follow suit and ask the Double Dragon brothers to align with them in an attempt to stop a common enemy, which the brothers agree to because I guess the dragons and toads are super chill with each other or something. You'll be facing familiar enemies like the Shadow Boss, Roper, and Blarg. Each of them serve as a boss of each stage. A Bobo takes the first defense as you board the ship and get a feel for the combat, which plays just how you'd expect it to. You can play as Pimple, Zitz, or Rash from the Battletoads side, or Billy and Jimmy from the Double Dragons. I'm playing along with my good friend Jeremy, or as you might know him, Skellamy, in an attempt to get through this game. We use the extra live codes and are not ashamed whatsoever. The first stage is pretty simple, letting you showcase your moves while getting assaulted by evil CRTs with lasers on them, and astronauts. Some kind of gumball hand too, I don't know what that is. Certainly what you'd want from a beat-em-up, and the stage has enough length for you to get a feel for your moves. You can use grapples to work down your opponents, do basic attacks, and perform a flying whirlwind kick with the dragons, or ram an opponent with the toads. And that is going to be one major move you're going to use during every fight. While reaching a Bobo here certainly looks intimidating, it's easy just to stun lock them with repeated dash attacks, and having two players, which you should, makes this all the easier. But don't get mistaken, this game is hard. After dealing with a Bobo, you'll head further into the Queen's ship. It's here you'll be climbing ladders, riding elevators, and facing familiar enemies like whatever that's supposed to be. Each stage does a good job at bringing a new element to the table, which keeps the gameplay interesting and also doesn't overwhelm you, until it completely starts to break away from a beat-em-up format. Looking at you, Stage 4. You'll also learn that you can grip onto these pieces of dynamite that you can lob at these guys to defeat them. This kind of requires precision accuracy, and I kinda love it. This stage also introduces that all too familiar anxiety-inducing driving mechanic from Battletoads that caused a lot of broken controllers in the 80s. But don't worry, because this version is way more tame and pretty exciting. You even get to kick other bikers as you progress and watch them bounce along the platform. And it's satisfying, to say the least. As you can expect, Blarg is a total pushover. Spamming those flying kicks reminds me of what I was talking about in my River City Ransom review. You could spam your ability to keep knocking down opponents in the original game, but not doing so made River City feel more challenging. For Battletoads Double Dragon, this isn't the case. Trying to face nearly any boss will see you taking unnecessary hits, and it's kind of unfair. Every boss has a faster punch than you do, and once you're hit, you're stunned for a few seconds, so they can easily finish off their combo on you, and you've lost a ton of health. So like I said before, just whirlwind kick them to death. It's not about being a challenge here, it's about spamming them before they spam you. If it's a challenge you're craving, then level 3 will have plenty of that. Stage 3, or what I affectionately call it, the part where you stop playing, is not only the longest level, being nearly double the length of all other levels, but it's specifically designed to take as many lives from you as possible. Like if this were the arcades, this is where you'd be spilling out your quarters onto the cabinet in preparation for your ass kicking. Pitfalls, overwhelming enemies, some weird hitbox placement, yeah, it's all there. This stage also debuts the classic Double Dragon enemy, Lady with a Whip. Have that whirlwind kick ready because their strike is faster than any normal attack you can throw, instantly knocking you back if it connects. In fact, you can only really land a punch if they happen to be walking while you're attacking. But overall, they are the least of your worries. Maybe it's the combination of these steel presses that need perfect timing to get through, small pitfalls with a narrow margin for error, or just the mounted guns that you need to grab onto and destroy before they just spam you to death that makes it all so frustrating. And that's not even all the level has to offer. This stage also introduces these moments where you have to rappel down this area while hugging the wall. A good tip to know is that if you move your directional pad towards the wall, you can do this nice spin attack that will remove any damageable obstacles in your way. Don't forget to juggle this crow for an extra life! Then to top it all off, you start ledge walking, all while avoiding these random bolts of electricity and these energy Cheerios. It was interesting to see myself begin to slowly remember the patterns I used to do as a kid, like remembering it's better to just keep walking forward instead of trying to pace myself to dodge all the oncoming obstacles. I don't think I'm being too harsh in my judgment of this level. It is really a challenge, but it's not impossible by any means, and the game does take steps to see your health and lives getting restored every now and then. What makes level 3 such a struggle is that after the first 2 levels, your lives might be a little bit low. If you lose enough lives, you'll have to use a continue, which will put you back at your last checkpoint in the stage. If you and your friend are at a difference in lives, it can be rough having one of you using your continues, the game giving you back your amount of lives, but your friend still retaining what amount of lives they previously had, which might get you sent back again if they are low enough. So the continues themselves can expand the length of the stage even further. So be sure to do a little celebration dance whenever you make it to another part of this level, and have a good cry. Also, there is Roper at the end, but like I said, stunlock him and next! I think Battletoads Double Dragon tends to suffer from identity crisis, meaning that sometimes this game doesn't know what it wants to be. Aside from the variety of flat levels and the levels with ground to move up and down on, Stage 4 suddenly changes. You ever play a beat 'em up and think, man, this is fun, but I wish I was playing Asteroids, because that's the stage. Don't get me wrong, I'm not bashing this segment at all. It just seemed out of place to suddenly start manning spaceships and keeping your pea shooter from the onslaught of incoming asteroids. But the rat ship fight is pretty nice. If anything, it serves as a nice little break before returning to its regular format of hiding space ninjas. When it comes to life and health recovery, I'd say this game is pretty generous, but it's barely noticeable when a lot of obstacles take a full life away rather than just doing a bit of damage. Like timing yourself on these ladder parts are crucial because getting hit by one of these burners means an instant death. Unfortunately, this is what did jeer me in the end. Stage 5 also includes some of these beefy enemies that have way too fast of a hit animation. I don't really have to say it, do I? Spam that kick! Tired of space? Good, because it's time to return to Earth. That's not how rockets work, but who cares? It's time to face the Shadow Boss. It's hard to consider this a level because it is just so tiny. You face a few more fiends while the Shadow Boss just kind of diddles around in the background, before finally showing up and punching you in the face. This time your kick won't be enough to save you. The boss here, while equipped with a lot of fast punches and the ability to just grab you, can also enter this spike ball form which you want to grab onto this lamp here to avoid. And this is pretty good. Any criticism I could offer here is that I wish there was kind of more fights like this. Just mixing a little gimmick here with each of them would be a lot more fun. And also you can hang on this light and the Shadow Boss will just kind of be all like, is he coming down? I don't know what to do, they didn't say anything about this in training. Finally, it's time to face the Dark Queen herself in a level surprisingly shorter than the last. Queenie has a gimmick too, but it's way less fun. Mostly just choreographing where she's going to show up. Take this opportunity to punch her in the face while she rises and you'll pretty much have her. I feel like the game knows how much turmoil it put you through, so it kinda just pity tosses you some items every now and then. Battletoads Double Dragon, the Ultimate Team, definitely has that small afternoon length that is common for beat 'em ups. Getting to this point took about an hour, and that's about as long as I'd want it to be, honestly. While I do applaud the game's decision to break away from the monotony of throwing punches, I think it's fun enough to not need the extra bells and whistles it comes with. It's seriously entertaining to just run through this game with a friend. The art direction is really nice, with the character designs looking clear and intimidating, definitely capturing the 90s look. Paired with some fantastic tracks by the wonderful composer, David Wise, you'll find yourself loving every stage's theme. It doesn't matter which version you pick up either, since they're all under Wise's direction, but I still think I love the SNES sound design the most. It's worth noting that the direction does feel a little more lean towards the Battletoads side, with the brothers kind of tagging along. I would have loved the idea of a more shared universe rather than most of the game taking place in space, but Double Dragon lore as a whole can be kind of a mess. While this is one of my favorite beat-em-ups of all time, playing through it again cemented the fact that every boss kind of feels the same until reaching the last two, and a little more time spent in their development would have made this game shine even brighter. At its core, Battletoads Double Dragon is simply enjoyable, challenging, and worth a playthrough with a good friend. Just don't forget that extra lives code. You'll need it despite what that jerk of a rooster might say. Thanks for watching. Did you play Battletoads Double Dragon as a kid? Which version had you blowing through your continues? Let me know down in the comments and hit that like button, and consider subscribing if you'd like to see more of my content. As always, keep it practical.